Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivaswataya Mrityave Brahma Vidyacharyaya Nachiketa Secha. Hari Om, salutations to all. So we are beginning the third Valli of the second chapter today. There is a very nice connection that is given here. Shankaracharya ji has written, Tula avadharene naiva mula avadharanam vrikshasya kriyate loke yatha evam samsarya karya vriksha avarodhaneන तन्मूलस्य ब्रह्मणः स्वरूपावादि धारयिषयेयं षष्ठी वल्ली आरभ्यते. So why this sixth chapter, meaning second chapter, third valli? So why is this being started? So he says, by observing the effect, tula avadharanena, we infer the cause. Moola avadharanam vrikshasya kriyate. So in the world we see that when we suppose we see the mud pot. Mud pot is the effect. By examining the mud pot, we arrive at the cause, that it is made up of mud. So mud is the cause. Ornaments of gold. So when we observe the ornaments, leaving aside the name, form, etc., the essence is the gold. So we arrive at the cause. Cause is gold. So Moola means the cause, root. Tula means the effect. So Moola and Tula are very important to understand. The cause pervades the effect. And that effect is actually nothing but cause only in another form. We may see as two, Karya, Karana is the cause, Karya is the effect. But Karya is nothing but Karana only in another form. Cause doesn't remain separate somewhere. Cause is inherent in the effect only. Same way in this world. So Tula and Moola. In Vedanta, these two are also used for avidya. That there is Tula avidya, which means ignorance of different objective things. Like I can know physics, you may not know physics. You may know maths, I don't know maths. That is object wise. That differs from person to person. Economics, maths, science, art, literature, sculpture, poetry, so many. We may know some, we may not know so many. So the ignorance of many things that we don't know about, that is called Tula Vidya. But Moola Vidya is the basic ignorance of the self, which is common in all. Till one doesn't awaken to the self, that ignorance that I don't know who am I, that is common in all. here that is not referenced here as such. Here the effect, the Tula and Mula are cause and effect, but I'm just saying that when we say Tula and Mula in Vedant, it is not only cause and effect, but if you take that cause and effect deeper, then root cause is avidya, so it is Mula avidya. And then it manifests as ignorance of many things in the world outside that I don't know about. That becomes the effect of that Mula Vidya. So that's why here he says, Tula avadharane naiva mula avadharanam vrikshasya. The samsara is compared to a vriksha. This life in this world is compared to vriksha, a tree. Because that's the first mantra of this chapter. And so he's giving this connection. That by observing this samsara, we come to the cause of samsara. Vrikshasya kriyate loke yatha evam samsarya karya vriksha avadharanena. So samsara is the karya. What is the karana? Everybody wants to know from where this world came, who created this world, why they created this world, why it is like this only. So one wants to know the cause, especially human being wants to know. Other creatures may not have that much of desire because there is no buddhi in that. So the sukshma buddhi is not there in the other creatures. So they live by instinct. They live. Human being wants purpose. Human being wants goal. Human being wants to do inquiry. Wants to find out what is the cause. Because the buddhi works like that. It works in cause and effect. So now I have come into this world, from where this world has come, who created this world, what is the purpose of this life? So many questions one has about this world. So he says that this, by examining this samsara properly, samsara karya vriksha avadharanena, tan mulasya, the cause of this one will arrive at. And what is the cause of this? Brahmanaha. Swarupa avadidharayishayeyam. That Brahman, which is the cause of this whole universe, is my Swarupa. To determine that, this analogy is now being given. This chapter is begun actually with this analogy. That's what it means. And what is the nature of that Brahman, and actually how that Brahman is my true self. That's the objective here. Brahmanaha Swarupa avadidharayishayeyam Shashtivalli arabhyate. The 6th chapter now is begun. So now comes the famous analogy which we have in the, which we know from the 15th chapter of the Gita, but that 15th chapter of the Gita is deriving that analogy from here. This is a Upanishadic analogy. Vedavyas Bhagavan has taken from there, from here, and replicated it there. So we have that 15th chapter analogy. The source of it is this. So let us see what is that. The first mantra. Urdhva molo avakshakha eshoshvattha sanatanaha tadeva shukram tad brahma tadeva amritam uchyate tasmin lokashrita sarve tadunatyeti kaschana etad vaitat. Urdhva mulaha. The roots are above, avakshakha, and the branches are below. Esha ashvatha. This is the ashvatha tree. Sanatana. Eternal. Eternal means what? Eternal in the sense that you and I come and go in this samsara as the jiva, as the body, we come and go, but samsara goes on. Even after pralaya happens, it goes into unmanifest, again it is manifest, again the 4 yugas start, again pralaya happens, again the manifestation starts. It eternally goes on. So in that sense, it is eternal. Not in the absolute sense that it is changeless. The real meaning of Sanatana is that which was, is, will be changeless in 3 periods of time. That is called Sanatana. Timeless, eternal. Samsara is not timeless. Time is a part of samsara. So everything here is changing. So by the word Sanatan, it means two things. One is that it goes on continuously, it goes on. Even after Pralaya, again it starts. So there is no end. Like every night we go to deep sleep, again come back, the next day starts. Again we go to deep sleep, again we start. So in that way, Sanatan. But actually the word Sanatan here refers to Tad Brahma Sanatana. That Brahman is Sanatan, which is the cause of this world. Which is appearing as this whole world is Brahman. That is Sanatan. Truly in the etymological meaning of the word Sanatan. So Tadeva Shukram Tad Brahma. That cause is purest, Shukram. Tad Brahma. It is that Brahman. Tadeva Amrutam Uchyate. That is called Amrutam. That is immortal. So it is eternal, it is immortal, it is pure, it is Brahman. Tasmin Loka Shrita Sarve. All the worlds exist in this Brahman. Snake exists in the rope because it's a projection or appearance of the rope only. Tasmin Loka Shrita Sarve. Tadunatyeti Kaschana. And there is nothing greater than that. Etad Vaitat. Know that. What Nachiketa had asked, no? Tell me what is that which is beyond past and present, beyond cause and effect. That was his question to Yamaraj. So what is beyond past and beyond past and future, beyond cause and effect, beyond dharma and adharma, anyatra dharmad, anyatra adharmat, anyatra asmat krita akritat. Beyond dharma and adharma, beyond krita and akrita, cause and effect. Anyacha bhutacha bhavyacha. What is beyond past and future? Earlier I said past, present, that is wrong. Past and future. Bhutacha bhavyacha. Yat tat pashyasi tadvada. What you are experiencing, that you tell me, not some book knowledge. So as a reply to that, Yamaraj has been going on saying etad vaitat at the end of every mantra. Not every, lot of mantras. Etad vaitat, that is this. Meaning what you asked for, that is this. So now this is the literal meaning of the mantra. Now let us see what Shankaracharya ji has said. This commentary of Shankaracharya ji is a masterpiece. How, see this analogy of the tree in the Kathopanishad, in one, not even in one full mantra, in 1/4 of a mantra, this analogy is finished. Urdhva mulo avakshaka esha ashvatha. That's all is the description of the samsara vriksha. That the roots are above, branches are below, that this is the ashvatha tree. That's it. Nothing more than that. But you read the analogy, the commentary that Shankaracharya ji has given is absolutely mind-boggling and fantastic to analyze what is life in samsara. At this tree, all different parts of the tree, etc., he gives fantastic analogy. Very beautiful explanation it is. Now you see here. Urdhva mula, urdhvam mulam yat, tad vishnoho paramam padam asya iti soyam avyaktadi sthavarantah samsara vriksha urdhva mulaha. Now roots are above, branches are below. So urdhva mulaha. So what is urdhva mula? Roots are above. It looks a very weird analogy. How can roots be above, branch be below? Actually, it should be the opposite. Every tree has roots in the ground and branches grow up. But here it is ulta. Urdhva mulo avakshaka. So why it is like that? So urdhva is not only above. Urdhva also means superior. The cause is always superior to the effect, or cause is greater than the effect, or cause is subtler than the effect. So urdhva means that. Even in the daily colloquial usage, we say, no, higher ups. Higher ups means the subtler positions are more powerful positions, are called higher ups. In the hierarchy, they will be higher up, high command. So it indicates subtlety. It indicates that cause precedes the effect. So same way here, urdhva moolam yat. What is the subtlest cause of this moolam? What is the subtlest cause of this universe? So he has indicated saying tad vishnoho paramam padam. This was indicated earlier. The whole sequence was indicated in Kathopanishad earlier mantra, earlier chapter mantras, where it was said indriyebhya parahyarthaha. अर्थेभ्यश्च परम मनः मनसस्तु परा बुद्धिः बुद्धेरात्मा महान परः महतः परम अव्यक्तम अव्यक्तात् पुरुषः परः पुरुषान्न परम किंचित सा काष्ठा सा परा गतिः. The whole sequence of what is gross and what is subtle was explained earlier. The sense objects are greater than subtler than the senses. Subtler than the sense objects are the mind, is the mind. Subtler than the mind is the buddhi. Subtler than the individual buddhi is the total buddhi, total mind. Subtler than the total mind is the avyakta. And subtler than avyakta is Supreme Purusha, the self, the Brahman. What is subtler than Purusha? He says nothing. Purushanna param kinchit. There is nothing greater than that Brahman. So that is the ultimate cause, the root. From there everything comes. Even in our family tree, if you write, you make a family tree, the great grandfather will be one. Then he will have 3 children. Then those 3 children, each of them will have two children. Those 2 will have another two children. So that root is above and the branches as though are spreading below. So urdhva mulo means that. So here when he says that avyaktadi sthavarantha, right from that avyakta to the grossest inert thing in this world, samsara vriksha urdhva mulaha. That is the root cause. Hence the roots are above. So it's not to be literally understood that there is some tree like that. No. The tree is what is visible, the samsara only. What is the cause of the samsara? The cause of the samsara is the minds of all the jivas. So the total mind is the ultimate cause, is the cause of the samsara. That total mind we call as Hiranyagarbha, which is depicted as Brahmaji, the creator, Hiranyagarbha. But that Hiranyagarbha also is a manifestation in the Ishvara, Avyakta. What is beyond that Ishvara? Is that Brahman. Brahman plus Maya is equal to Ishvara. But Ishvara is also unmanifest because it is a total causal body. And then from there, Hiranyagarbha, total mind, as the creator manifests. Subtle body, it is total subtle body, total mind is Hiranyagarbha. The womb, the golden womb. So the thoughts, earlier was unmanifested. From there it manifests as thoughts. Then through the thoughts, the whole Srishti is created. That becomes a Sthula Srishti, that is called Virat, this whole Srishti. But we don't see this as Virat. That is our problem. That is the difficulty. We see this as samsara. It is a appearance of that Hiranyagarbha only. The entire dream is an appearance of the dreamer's mind. But we are not seeing it as dreamer's mind. We are seeing it as everything is separate. Hills, water, river, sun, moon, individual, jivas, all this is separate. And I am looking at myself as one small little creature in this world. But the fact is, I am that Brahman. I am the waker. Waker has become the dreamer using his power to dream. Now the dreamer has projected the dream world and become everything in the dream world. So there is actually only one waker appearing as all this. But that we don't see. So we are seeing all divisions and differences only. So that's why here he says that the cause of this universe is that Supreme Brahman. We have forgotten that. So from Avyakta to the grossest inert thing in this world, samsara, that if we trace it back, we will come to that Brahman only. So it is the subtlest, which is only appearing as all this. We are lost generally in the effect, so we don't have time to turn towards the cause. Those who have Vairagya, they have turned towards the cause to understand that, oh, this whole thing is an appearance of that. Entire snake is appearance of only rope. There is nothing called snake. So the purpose of understanding the samsara vriksha is to come to the root. So this one should not forget. So even in the mantra, if you see, the analogy is given of the root only. Shankaracharya has elaborated here for us to have a better understanding, but the mantra is saying only about the root. Why? Because that is the only thing to be focused on. Rest of the things are all appearances of that. And that we have forgotten and we are stuck in the appearances, which happens in the world also. How much is substance valued and how much is appearance valued? Majority is a value of appearances only. What is really inside? Hardly. Even when people meet each other, what do they really value? Appearances only. How this person looks, how much wealth this person has, what kind of influence this person has, all that. Then slowly they get to know, then they understand the mind. Then friction starts, all conflicts in relationships, so many problems. Because appearances become more important than the inner thoughts, values, ideals, and even subtler than that, to see the divine. If one comes to the level of divinity, then there is no conflict. You and I both are divine. There is no question of superiority, inferiority, anything. So appearances are, they are there, but of what? They are the appearances of the substratum of the substance. What is the real substance here? That I should identify, which is what the mantra is meant for. Urdhva mulaha avak shakha. The branches, roots are above, branches are below. This is Ashwatha tree. So the objective is to come to that mula. Don't forget that. Now the description is going to come. Lot of description is going to come of this tree, but never forget that our objective of this whole description is to come to the root, not to be stuck somewhere in the description of the tree and the minor aspects of this analogy. So samsara vriksha urdhva mula. Now why it is a vriksha? Vrikshascha vrishchanat. Vrikshascha vrishchanat. Sorry, not vrishchanat. Vrishchanat means it is a vriksha. See the analogy of vriksha. Why is only vriksha given? Some other analogy could have been given. But here it is given vrishchanat because vriksha is that which can be destroyed completely. Vrishchanat. Meaning this samsara bandhan can be destroyed completely. The appearances in our mind can be destroyed completely. Then we will see the same samsara as Virat. as the manifestation of the Supreme One. And who is that one? That is me, as the consciousness, not as the jiva. So each one will realize that I am that one consciousness. I am not this jiva. And this whole samsara itself is the appearance of my true self. So this bondage has to be destroyed. Vrishchanat, vriksha. So that's why the example of vriksha is given. Then he says, Janma, Jara, Marana, Shoka, Adi, Aneka, Anarthatmakaha. So now this samsara is elaborated here. What is this samsara? What is the nature of the samsara is elaborated here. This portion, some 3-4 points come here. This portion, one has to remind oneself again and again and again, reflect upon this to get vairagya from samsara. So, if a seeker really wants to develop vairagya and says enough is enough now, I need to know what is the source. Then these are the points to go on reflecting. This has come earlier also, but here it comes in a concentrated dose. Janma, birth. Jara is old age. Marana is death. Shoka, sorrow. Adi aneka anarthatmakaha. Like this, there are so many pains in this samsara. This is the first point. That samsara is of the nature of dukkha, is pain. No, a very pessimistic attitude. It is a fact only. Janma, you just think about it. Janma, how much pain for the baby being inside in the womb 9 months, what the baby goes through. No, it is said it is like being in a cauldron of molten iron. If one is dropped in the cauldron of molten iron, what will be the pain? Will there be any pleasure in that? We enjoy such a nice place. Now nobody can enjoy. Cauldron, inside is like cauldron. Surrounded by the Jataragni of the mother, the baby is growing and it is upside down. Such a small place, cramped inside, has to survive on the food of the mother, cannot have its own breathing, lives on the breath and the food, etc. of the mother. And in that womb only, inside in that womb only, that baby, as it grows, all urination, fecal matter, everything is inside that womb only. There's no diaper, wiper, nothing inside. It's completely dark. And each part of the body, when it is being formed, is not a joke. All these bones and all these. How much pain, if you see, many of you have gone through that pain of labor and bringing a child forth also. But you just see, some documentaries also, if you see, they show the whole process of this, how the child grows. It's not easy at all. It is very painful. We may say, oh, child is born and everybody is so happy. But mother goes through so much pain, child goes through so much pain. And whether all the organs are created properly, not created, who knows that, all that. Once the child is born, now they have to check everything. Is all fine, not fine. Pains. Birth has so much pain. And who wants to come back to this life again? No, Swamiji, we want to come back. That is your choice. Happily come. I have not seen this, I have not seen that. I want to still experience life further. Please go on. No problem. But when one has seen enough, and one says, bus, now enough, now I don't want to come back again. And what kind of world are we living? People generally say that we must live a better world for our children. Nothing. You can do that for children, but for you also. Because you want to come back, no? deforestation we are doing, polluting the rivers and polluting the air and plastic and this, that, make a mess of this earth and now go to Mars. What is human being doing? So we only have to again come back to this world. What will be that experience? Day by day, it is depleting only the world is. How human being is living. Who wants to again come back into this world? The other day somebody wrote on the social media was one very nice post. There was a very rich person who died of coronavirus. The daughter of this person said, my father was one of the richest people in the world, but he died grasping for something which is available free. That is air. And all the money he had could do nothing. I mean, think about that. Human being has done everything in such a way. What kind of life it is? No, my life is very comfortable, is very nice. Then continue, no issue at all. As and when that Vivek and Vairagya rises, then one will come to that, because ultimately it is that only. There is, Gurudev used to say the main course meal in this samsar is sorrow. Pleasure is a chutney, now and then you can eat. The faster I realize it, the better. The problem is pleasure clouds our mind so deeply that pain I refuse to accept. I know only two approaches to pain. One, indulge in more pleasure to forget that pain, or escape from that pain by drinking something, taking something, becoming unconscious, escape. The third approach, to be with that pain, to understand what that pain is, and to utilize that pain to fuel my desire to know the permanent. That very few people do. That is what seeker will do. Will not escape the pain. Will not try to drown oneself in pleasure. Both are escape routes only, either through pleasure or through becoming unconscious. One is tamasic, other is rajasic. What is the sattvic method? Be with the pain. I'm not saying don't do relief methods to come out of pain. You can do. Suppose the body is ill, take a medicine. But understand that this is the nature of this body. What is this body? Yadhi Mandiram. It is a abode of diseases only, this body is. No, my body is very healthy. I have six-pack abs and I have good muscles and good tone and this and that. Oh, very good. But still body is having germs and all that. It is a temple, or it's an abode of disease only. The moment your immunity goes down, this will all come up again. Every minute that body is fighting or not. For us, it may be some big object of some enjoyment and my identity and all that. But actually, it is an abode of diseases. How many people will see it as abode of disease? Not to become pessimistic, not to become hopeless or disinterested in life, but to have this right vision, so that I use this body to do sadhana and get out of this chakra of this cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, to beautify this body, whole life goes. The strange thing is people strive so hard and build a huge house and such big mansions and whatnot. And now, because of Corona, they have to stay in that house. They find it suffocating. No, I can't stay. Are you built this house? Whole life you spent to build the house. Now stay happily, enjoy. No. How much we put efforts not behind this body, to pamper this body, to please this body, to make this body look good. Because the nature of the body is like that. Durgandha only. Every few minutes it will start stinking. So we have to keep using all kinds of things. Perfume and makeup and this and that. Why? So that I am attractive, I am pleasing for myself and for others to look at. That itself shows that the body is a abode of pain. So the more I think about this, Janma is dukkha. Jara, old age, that is also dukkha. Who wants to become old? Nobody wants to become old. Everybody wants to be ever young. And with today's makeup available, that facilities available, one though can remain ever young. One will never know what is the age of that person. With all kinds of chemicals and injections and Botox and wig and denture and whatnot. Ever young. Arey, what is the age? This person may be great grandmother, still going to party. Arey, looking as though some middle-aged person. So Jara, old age also. So many today, who is at the biggest threat? Who is at biggest risk of corona? Is the elderly people. Fracture can happen so fast. Osteoporosis is there. Can't see properly. Can't hear properly. Hand will shake. Parkinson will come. Arey, what all is there? Old age one goes through. That's why some people say it is better to die young. Who wants to become old and die? How much suffering is there in old age also? I'm talking only at body level. Then comes emotional level. People don't care only. They are going in their life. There's a pace of their life. They are struggling to catch up with the pace of their own life. What will they do for us? So now old age, loneliness, and the world outside is changing so fast that what one was in the prime of one's youth is like some distant history, as though one has become outdated and like a specimen. Because world is moving very, very fast. Changes are happening so fast. That's called samsar, samyak sarati. It continuously slips. There is no way to grasp it. It goes on changing. So janma is dukkha, jara, dukkha, vyadhi also is dukkha, disease also is dukkha. Then marana, pain at the time of death. And who wants to die? Even those who want to die actually want to get out of pain only. Otherwise nobody wants to die. If there is no pain at all living in this body, who will want to die? Nobody wants to die. Either there's a pain at the body level or some financial level or some emotional level. Some pain is there, so one loses hope in life also. No one wants to die. Now death also is painful. Just imagine what is the life of that person for whom death is a better choice than life. Meaning life has become so painful that it's better to die. So pain at living, pain at the time of death. Just to give an analogy, it is said that, the pain that is there at the time of death, it will be so excruciating as though every single cell of the body is being poked by a needle. Now, whenever I give this analogy, there will be some people who always say, but what happens to those who die in sleep? You see, the issue is not about how that person died, whether in sleep or in accident or in the hospital or through some disease. And that is an analogy that is given. You don't have to take it literally. Nobody is poking this person. He died peacefully in sleep. To the extent that person has dehatma bhav, to that extent there will be pain. If one has ejected out of the body quickly, then that is some punya karma, honestly, that how the person just went without suffering in this body. But if the person had body identification, when one gets out of the body, then again there is pain. Oh God, this body is left down. And what are these people doing to this body? And how the attitude of everybody changes. Suddenly from a person, I become a body. Now bring the body here, cover the body, take the body, burn the body. Arey, I was a person till now. Now I become body. That's how it will be. But that is a hard reality. That's how it will be. So pain is corresponding to the body identification. And we have body identification. So obviously it is going to pain at the time of death, immediately after death also. It takes time to understand, oh, I am not the body, body down there. Then the jiva goes ahead. So Janma is dukkha, Jara is dukkha, Marana is dukkha, Shoka adi aneka anarthatmaka. And Shoka is grief. Today, to grief has become common all around. For so many things, one becomes sad, one becomes depressed, one becomes purposeless, hopeless. Little things one loses hope in life. One relationship, somebody broke the heart. Now gone. I can't trust anybody else anymore. I have trust issues. Trust issue will be there in relationships. Some business loss happens. Right now, economy is down. Now some people are really worried about their livelihood, which is scary for them. Is that Shoko is there or not? Whoever imagined 6 months before this will be the condition today? Those who are able to sail through, they are sailing through. Or for some people, it is really difficult. A day-to-day existence only is not possible. How many people are not having enough food? There are many NGOs and many people who are serving, helping, no doubt. But still, there is an anxiety. What happens? How long will lockdown last? How many shoka, how many things are there in the samsara? If we actually put down all this in one side and put down the enjoyment in one side, these sorrows will outweigh this enjoyment by far. Huge list it will be. Fear, anxiety, stress, worries, depression, relationship conflicts, economic problems, social issues, people commenting anything on us. We have to prove ourselves constantly. Just make a list of what is the dukkha and shoka in this samsara. Not to general people, to me only. As an individual, what are the things in samsara that cause me pain? It can be as small thing as I didn't get my morning tea, or I'm not able to go out right now. Anything. All the causes of sorrow, if we write down, it will be very huge list. What all the mind goes through. And the strange part is this Maya is such that it does not want me to even acknowledge this. It keeps me trapped in some enjoyment, some sense pleasure, something. This time that we have got, one can introspect, one can learn, one can make a change completely. So that even if the lockdown gets over and whenever even the coronavirus situation gets completely controlled, my life can be different. This is a big wake-up call. Do I want to live like earlier? Whether world changes or not, it is up to the people. I can change. In my hand, it is there that I want my life to be different. I want to focus on truly what is important, not be trapped in perceptions and appearances and assumptions and all that. So one can use that time. Or one is going on binge watching something or the other and just escaping from the reality, not wanting to face. That's how Maya traps. Though there is a lot of pain in the world, there is incompleteness, there is sorrow. One is just escaping. Seeker will not escape, will face. Because that is the fact. Because another aspect to understand is, if I understand this part, the vairagya from the samsara will lead me to the real source of bliss, which is what was said earlier, no? Tadev amrutam uchyate. Eternal, timeless, immortal bliss. That is our nature. And exact opposite I am stuck in right now. Complete pain, sorrow, misery, all that. So this is the first lakshan here. Janma, mrityu, janma, jara, marana, shoka, adi, aneka, anarthatmakaha. This is the first one. Second one, the feature of samsara. Pratikshanam anyatha swabhavaha. Maya, marichi, udaka, gandharva, nagaradi, vat, Drishta nashta swarupatvat. Avasane cha vrikshavat abhavatmakaha. So he says, Pratikshanam manyatha swabhava. Every minute it goes on changing. Drishta nashta swabhava. As I am seeing also it changes. We think we are seeing something which is steady, constant. Suppose I say I am seeing you, you are seeing me. Now we think we are seeing each other. That is only an illusion of the eye. Even as I am seeing you and you are seeing me, this body is going through so many changes. So many cells are dead, so many are born. Already changes happen. The limitation of our senses, we can't see that so fast. In a way it is good because then you can't relate only. Because every second that person is going on changing. How can you relate? And that is only at body level that we see. We can even manage to see if you put some whatever that microscope or any such thing, make some, there are those, now the apps also which come. On phone you can download those apps. They are the microscope type app. When you point at anything, it will magnify that some 5,000, 10,000 times or whatever number it is. So you can see what it is. Imagine if something like that is there in our eyes and we go on seeing everything that is changing. In a way, it will be very good. Somebody, if they can devise that kind of a equipment, excellent it will be. Well, everything is going on changing. One will see what a state of flux this whole thing is. And you remove it, it looks steady. Again, you put it back. Again, everything goes on changing. That is only at body level. Now imagine thoughts. And then imagine if we are actually able to understand what is in the mind and what is being shown here. The hypocrisy that exists will become exposed so fast, Vairagya will come very soon. If some device like that comes now, one should identify, work on it and get something like that. People look at you and smile, but inside they are thinking, you fool, you rascal, why did you come here? I want to kill you. How are you doing? Hope all is well. Are? Inside something else, outside something else. What level of disintegration that is? Is drishtanashta swabhava. Every moment one is seeing, it is perishing, it is changing, it is not what it is. That's why it says anyatha swabhava. It looks something, but it is something else. Anyatha swabhava. Maya Marichi. Now, two examples given here are like the mirage in the desert. It appears as very real, but it is not real. And Gandharva Nagaradi. So in the sky, one sees the different cloud formations. Sometimes it looks as though there's a big city up there. But it's the illusion, there's nothing. Same way this is. Pratikshanam anyatha swabhava. This samsara, that is the second quality of samsara. That every single moment it is of a different nature, it is continuously changing. It is not what it appears to be. Drishta nashta swarupatvat. Avasane cha vrikshavat abhavatmakaha. At the end of it, it will become zero. Nothing. Vrikshavat means like how you destroy the tree and there's nothing remaining there. In the same way, the samsara also at the end will be zero, nothing. Which is how it is, the fact is like that. How much we try to grasp, nothing comes in the hand. It doesn't remain only, it goes on changing. What remains with us? Nothing remains with us. The body also will not remain with us. What control do we have in this samsara? We have no control on anything. On people, we cannot have any control. They may not remain with us. They will go before or we will go before. Some point that will going to happen. Even when they are there, who has control on what? We can influence somebody, we can tell somebody something, but control impossible. Each one will do what they want to do only. On people, on objects, on situations, no control. It just changes so fast. On our body, we don't have control. On our emotions, do we have control? No. On our thoughts, we have control? No. They come whenever they want. They go whenever they want. What control do we have? Nothing. But we still live under illusion, I am in control. And then I want to control things also. Functionally, duty, what one has to do, one can keep doing, but there's a big illusion because nothing remains. At the end, nothing is there in our hands. Nothing. No people, no money, no power, no position, no body, no nothing. Zero. But the samsara is like that. Nothing remains. But what is that which is the basis of this? That remains. That one is ignoring. In this chase for the material things or the temporary things, one is forgetting that. Here, there is one thing which remains changeless. That I need to hold. Rest of it though is nothing going to be remain here. It's going to change. And change means death. In Vedanta, death is not only death of the body. Change itself is death. Every minute things are changing means they are dying only. That's why avasane said, tad avasane cha vrikshavad abhavatmakaha. Abhav means non-existent. It becomes non-existent. Happens or not? Suddenly. For us it may look suddenly sometime, but actually it has happened because of some process, some cause is there behind it. And it happens over. So now that is the nature of samsara. One is the sorrow, second is constant change. Then kadali stambhavat nissaraha. Like the stalk of a plantain tree. Kadali saravas. Kadali stambhavat nissaraha. There is no sara only here. There is no essence. Sara means essence. Something which makes us strong, makes us feel good. There's something substantial. There's nothing substantial. Samsare, in the samsara is asara only. What is the true sara here is only remember Bhagwan's name. There's nothing more than that. Otherwise, there's no essence here. Nissara. So, kadali stambhavata. If you eat, try and eat, if you can, the stalk of a plantain tree without adding any spice and masala and all that. If you add all that, then you say, oh, what delicious, how tasty, very good. Then that is the taste of the masala, not the stalk of plantain tree by itself. Cut the stalk after it gives after the banana is there, the banana has been removed. The plain stalk what remains. After once the banana has come out, then there is nothing. You can't do anything with that stalk. People can use it for. You can't even use it as fuel because it is filled with lot of water. You can't eat it also by itself. Though if you eat it by itself, one good advantage of it is that good fiber, very nice fiber. So that advantage one may have, but otherwise, taste-wise, it is absolutely bland. No taste only. Samsara is like that. No, Swamiji, for us, though, variety is the spice of life. We have such variety in this world. What a spice it is. Variety is the spice of life, and breaking morality is spice of life. Why should we follow rules? What rules? Which rules? Who created these rules? They are human being created rules. So do whatever one wants. Eat, drink, enjoy anything. And one thing that people like to ask each other is that, what is the wildest thing you have done? Meaning, what level of morality have you broken? Then you have lived life. If you have followed morality and you have been you are like a sheep which is guided. Break rules, break free. Try things which are contrary to the popular belief patterns. World is going in that direction or not? One of the reasons why we are into this stress, worry, depression, tension, anxiety is because of that also. Whether people accept it or not, that is a fact. Because we violate universal principles, and the mind of ours is a very, very subtle equipment. It will get affected. The more the subtler and the sophisticated the equipment is, more care has to be taken of that or not. Will you treat the iPhone 11 Pro Max in the same way as any other ordinary phone? No. This is subtle, costly. So there will be a screen guard also for it. There will be a cover also for it, and it should not fall down. And how much care one takes? Does one say what morality, what all this cover, this, that, just do whatever, throw anywhere, anyhow, anytime. Who cares? Why do you want to place it properly and safely and carefully? Break all the rules, destroy it. Nobody will do that. But we are doing that with our mind. Such a sophisticated equipment Bhagwan has given to us. Break all morality. No, is human being created. So these rules also human being only created for iPhone 11. If somebody says, no, there are rich people who can afford to do it and they are doing it. I am not talking about that. I am talking in general about an example. If somebody says, I want to do this and experiment with my mind and my life, okay, go ahead. Ultimately, one will come to this. There is no sara in this samsara. Absolutely no sara. How much ever one may say variety is the spice of life, breaking morality is the spice of life, all that. At one point, the spice is going to burn. As simple as that. Acidity will increase. Then you will come back to normal food. No? It will have its consequences. How much ever one may explore the world, if you actually go to see, every pleasure that we are experiencing is our own mind's either projection or the energy that we spend is our own mind and body and pranic energy that we are enjoying, we are experiencing as enjoyment by paying the price of our own body, prana and mind energy. If you want an analogy for it, the most appropriate analogy for it is like the bone which a dog eats, a bone which is just a plain bone, there is no flesh in that, and it's a broken bone. Now that broken bone, that dog goes on chewing. It has sharp edges. It will go on poking the mouth of the dog, and the dog will be bleeding. Now the dog thinks that this is coming from the bone, so it chews more until it comes to a point where this dog cannot chew it anymore because there is excruciating pain in the mouth. Samsara, the pleasures are in the world are like that. If I am experiencing any pleasure, the price I am paying for it is energy of the senses, of the body, of the prana, of the mind. And there is some thought here that this is pleasure. That's what I am experiencing. By itself, I cannot experience pleasure or pain without that conditioning. Because if it was in the objects, everybody would have experienced the same. It is not out there, it is in here. Coffee tastes like coffee because I've been told this is called coffee and this is enjoyable. Now that conditioning is put inside. Functionally, yes, the world we will have to understand that this is that, differentiate, use appropriately. I'm not talking about that functional division, that let it be there. That is not a cause of bondage. The cause of bondage is my false notion that happiness is out there in doing like this or not doing like this, in following this, in breaking that rule. It is not there at all out. It is all in here. Out there, what is there? Asara. Kadali stambhavat nisaraha. If that conditioning was not there, Like somebody who drinks alcohol or somebody who smokes, they are doing that because they have a certain conditioning. The first time they will do it, they will cough, they will spit it, they will think it is bitter. But now they are still continuing with it. Why? Because some conditioning that this is cool, this will relax, this will help. It goes on. So for now, we have seen 3 points. One is there is lot of sorrow through this whole life, janma, jara, marana, all this. Second, it is drashta nashta swabhava. It's constantly changing. Third, there is no real essence in this. More of this we will continue in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.